We'll head over to our Abuja studios. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, has advocated for the amendment of Nigeria's constitution to accommodate some of the concerns of Muslims and the Sharia law. Now, the CJN is known annual Judges Conference open at the Ahmadu Bello University in Zaria Faculty of Law's Moot Court. Now, Justice Muhammad urged academics to champion the cause of redesigning the methods of teaching Sharia law, as the implementation of his suggestions would be more feasible if universities give the Sharia law its own faculty. He is also calling for the teaching of Sharia law in Arabic as against the English language, which is currently being used, challenging academics to ensure that the course is taught in Arabic. Well, joining us now from our Arise Abuja Studios, as mentioned, to discuss this and other national issues is constitutional lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, Mike Ozekhome. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the morning show.
Ozekhome, good morning. Yes.
Welcome, Nigerians.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you for
good morning
for honoring our invitation. Well, we've been taking a look at the situation in the United Kingdom, where the Conservatives have won a clear majority. And Prime Minister Boris Johnson now has, a good mandate, an opportunity to get Brexit done. I'm sure you've been watching that. What's your take? Let's start with that UK elections before we now come back home.
Conservatives winning by 385 to Labour Party's 203. A clear landslide, if not moonslide majority, the biggest since the Tories outing of Margaret Thatcher in 1987. The clear lessons are there. I saw a civilized nation carrying out elections peacefully and peaceably. I saw a country determined to allow the people's vote not only to be counted, but also to count. I saw civilization at its zenith with Jeremy Corbyn already saying he will have to step down, having been defeated, while Boris Johnson takes over as the Prime Minister. I didn't see people carrying guns, machetes, bazookas, killing each other. I didn't see women being burnt in their houses, locked up. I didn't see ballot boxes and papers being snatched. I didn't see arms and ammunition being deployed to win an election. How do you win an election? By killing. You want to serve the people and you kill them? Oh, certainly. That is not altruism. That is not patriotism. You are not going there to help the people, but to line your pockets, to influence bad policies. So Britain today, or the UK today, they've shown that the will of the people is paramount. And that is why you can talk confidently that by next year, Brexit will work and they will exit the European Union. The will of the people. The will of the people. Vox populi, vox Dei, the voice of the people is the voice of God.
Wow, thank you for that analysis, sir. Now, moving back to Nigeria and the Sharia law argument, they've been advised that a lot more teachers and lawyers should be learned in Sharia law. But is this feasible? Because we know that there are certain parts of the Constitution that enable you to activate that within the personal life. Is it feasible on a constitutional level?
What many Nigerians do not know is that the Constitution has already recognized Sharia law from Section 6. In fact, there are about 21 sections, up to 2 schedules, that have already recognized Sharia law actually. I do not know what else the Chief Justice wanted, except if he is saying that Nigeria should be made a totally Sharia Islamic country. And to that extent, I would not agree with it, because religion is a personal matter between a person and his God. You may call him God, Osanubua, Osinegba, Ogena, Olorun, Chineke, Allah. Everything, Deo. It means that supreme, transcendental, omniscient, omnibenevolent, omnipotent being, the creator of the universe, the unmoved mover, the uncaused cause, that who begot but was not begotten. So it is therefore a personal matter between you and your God, and nobody should be compelled to do one religion or the other. Indeed, the Nigerian Constitution, which is the Form A Origo, which is the supreme law of the land, the supreme by virtue of Section 1, Subsection 1, say this Constitution shall be supreme, and all persons and authorities must obey it. And if any other law is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution, that other law will be void to the extent of the inconsistency. So, to that extent, Section 10 of the Constitution actually provides for a secular state, not recognizing any religion. He said, neither the federal government nor state government shall adopt any religion as state religion. And Section 38 makes it clear that every citizen is entitled to freedom of religion and conscience. And when you look at Section 39, freedom of association, of assembly, Section 36, right to fair hearing, you will discover that compulsion has no place in our religion. So you cannot begin to talk about amending the Constitution to build in Sharia more and maybe make it more, compulsory. You have to skate through the hurdles of Section 9 of the Constitution, which requires two-thirds majority vote of all the states of Nigeria. There are 36 states and FCT, meaning that you must get 24 states to support any amendment of the Constitution to accommodate Sharia law in a special way. Let me say this. I think those fighting for God are missing it. We can't fight for God because he's already self-determining. Even in the Holy Quran, chapter 109, the holy prophet himself, Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, the people of Makkah, he was being persecuted by the people of Makkah. They felt that he should worship their idols, their little gods. And that if you worship these our gods, let us test power of these our gods and your own Allah by what each of us worship the other one's own for 1 year and see who is more potent. In fact, if you worship our gods, we do 3 things for you. We give you any maidens of your choice to marry. We make you our king. We give you money, wealth. Do you know what he told them? The Holy Prophet told them. He said, he said, "O you who do not believe, I worship not that which you worship, nor do you worship that which I worship. Do not expect me to worship that which you have been worshiping, and I will not expect you to worship that which I worship. To you, your religion, and to me, my religion." So, even the Holy Prophet like Jesus Christ was decreeing freedom of religion and conscience, that you should not be forced to carry it out. So when the Sharia issue started in Zamfara State many years ago, in 2001, it swept across many states in the north, Kano, Borno, Katsina, Sokoto, Kaduna. And in 2002, a lot of people, about 100 people, were slaughtered over protests against Sharia. I will remember one Jangabi, whose hand was amputated, that drew the eye of international community and NGOs. And people felt, well, it's your personal law. If you want to embrace that law and amputate your hands and kill people by stoning them to death, and you view apostasy merely changing from your religion to another, which even the Holy Prophet did not say you should do, you view it because you change from one religion to another, the person has to be stoned to death. Well, so be it, if that is what you want, but leave others out who do not want to go along that line. I, for example, am a Christian. Not just a Christian, I'm a Catholic. Not just a Catholic, I'm a knight in the Catholic Church. And in July this year, by the grace of God, I passed the 4th degree examination, which we sat for in Agbo, which is the final stage of being a knight in the Catholic Church, being a soldier of Christ. There's nothing you are going to do, for example, to compel me to change my religion. After all, my father and mother were Muslims. Oh, yeah? But they didn't even force me to change my religion. But after my father's death, my mother decided that she wanted to be a Christian. So I helped her. She was baptized, and she was confirmed, and she died a Christian. Meaning, even right now in our house, in the village, in our home, many of us are Muslims. Many of us are Christians. We do not discriminate between one and the other. Some of them, whenever things are good, I send them to Mecca for Hajj. I send them to Medina. Go and carry out one of the 5 obligations of Islam. So nobody should therefore discriminate against another on the basis of sex, of religion, and of status in life.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me come in here and let's go back to the Constitution and speak about certain things. Now, you mentioned that Section 10 recognizes Nigeria as a secular state. You also mentioned that Section 6 recognizes Sharia law. And in as though Nigeria is a secular state, we know how much religion has influenced governance in our country for far too long. So how do we really go about changing this system that is already really ingrained in our society already? How do we then stop personal beliefs and personal religion from influencing society on a greater scale when it kind of looks like the Constitution in itself allows for that and gives room for contradiction? What is your take?
My take is simple, that the government of the day must have the will to allow Nigerians to practice religion according to the dictates of their conscience, and that they should focus on governance and leave out issues of religion or belief, personal belief between you and your God. I don't believe in all these sponsored pilgrimages. What is the business of government sponsoring people to Rome, to Jerusalem, to Israel, to Medina, to Mecca? What is that the business of government? When people are hungry, when there's no light, when there are no roads for us to pass, when there is no good health system, but they themselves will go abroad with their children to go and get the best health system, when education is in comatose, but their children are in Ivy Leagues all over the world, when insecurity pervades the society and no one can travel and sleep in the car. If you are not abducted on the road, you are waylaid in the forest, you are waylaid in the market, even at your worship center. When issues of corruption are on the ground, with the government even getting more corrupt than the people, because most of the money in the system is in government coffers. That is why 95% or more of corruption in Nigeria, if you check it out, all the people charged to court or the people being mentioned, they're not in the private sector. They are in government offices. People who dip their hands in the till, in the treasury of the country to steal us blind. That is why I have always said, I made that statement first of all, I think in 2013, that we must kill corruption, otherwise corruption will kill us. But that in doing this, even though corruption has become the most powerful state in Nigeria, more powerful than all the other 36 states and FCT combined, because it has unlimited resources, you must fight that corruption within the ambit and constitutional organogram of our democratic institution. That has been my... So governments should focus on the important things, whether legislature, executive, or judiciary, and leave out these matters that are political, that are ethnic, that are sensitive, that are religious, that are linguistic, so that Nigeria will attain nationhood and stop being that geographical expression that Chief Obafemi Awolowo once talked about, and stop being that Niger area or Niger area or Negrite area, which Flora Louisa Shaw, the young lady, girlfriend of Lord Lugard, whom she later married, the man who amalgamated the North and South protectorates of Nigeria to found Nigeria on the 1st of January, 1914. So that we will move away from that pristine stage and have a real nation. Today, Nigeria is not still a nation, it's just a conglomerate cobbled together of different nationalities, with each suspicious of the other.
Chief Ozekhome, let me
we get this clear, the better for all of us.
Yes, let me refer you to an article you wrote recently titled "That Court Judgment Nullifying Humongous Allowances for Past Office Holders." And this was a comment on the decision of Justice Oluremi Oguntoyinbo, who ruled in a matter taken before a court by SERAP on the issue of pension and allowances and all of that for former political office holders. And you praised that judgment and you said it was good and all of that. But there has been, another view articulated, I guess, by Ahmed Raji SAN, who raised the question. One, is it possible for the Attorney General of the Federation to function as a collector of funds on behalf of the states? The matter before the court, is it not also a matter of law that these state houses of assembly have every right to make laws for the good governance of the various states? And then three, you said it's unconstitutional. What exactly is unconstitutional? Is it the power of the state houses of assembly to make such laws? And then, of course, many Nigerians, including yourself, are insisting that those pension laws for public office holders should be repealed across the country, as has been done in Zamfara State. Well, is that also possible? Considering the fact that in Lagos State, the House of Assembly in Lagos State has said no, they will not repeal any such law. And yet Lagos State is one of the most generous, states, in terms of allowances and privileges for former office holders, particularly governors and their deputies and speakers of the House of Assembly.
Yeah, well, Nigeria operates a system called federalism, presidential system of government. And in a federal system of government, each tier of government is supposed to be independent of the other. The local government, independent of the state independent of the federal government. But in Nigeria, it has been practiced in a way that is lopsided, making it more a unitary system of government. For example, you see a president inviting all the governors to Abuja. And you see the governors running helter-skelter, chartering private jets to quickly get to Abuja to attend a meeting in a federal system of government, because the federative units have been thoroughly weakened. Can you ever imagine the president of America, for example, Donald Trump, telling all the 50 state governors that I want you all in America tomorrow? Some of them will look at themselves and say, is he crazy? Is he all right? Because since 1776, America has known how to practice true federalism. So I do agree that that judgment is a good one, because it will free the funds of various states for redevelopment. How can a person who has been a governor for 8 years is going away with severance allowance of about 5 billion naira, then pension for life? The houses are built for you in Abuja and Lagos in places of your choice: Maitama, Asokoro, Banana Island. Then, apart from that, you earn salary for life with your wife, children. It's madness. But since we are operating a federation, the federal government cannot impose its will on the states. It is therefore for the states' houses of assembly or to make laws, to repeat such laws as they just did in Zamfara State, not from the center.
So what do you have to say to former Minister of Aviation, Femi Kayode, stating that Muhammadu Buhari, sitting president, is trying his best to Islamize the country and that doing so will enable the Fulanis of West Africa to come into the country because they no longer need visas?
Well, I think these are very sensitive matters. I don't think any president, no matter how powerful, should try to overrun the country by making one tribe to dominate the other tribes, whether you import them from outside or you generate them from inside. That will lead certainly to an implosion in the country, because Nigerians have a right to self-determination. That is why when you fight IPOB, you fight the Shiite movement against self-determinism, which is recognized by the United Nations. I think you are wasting your time, because man by nature was born free. So you cannot use power to muzzle the people and say you must be under one ethnic group. Because even before we came together on 1st January 1914, Nigerians were already independent in their various kingdoms and fiefdoms. The Oyo Empire, the Songa Empire, the Karenem Bonu Empire, the Benin Kingdom, which as far back as 1897 was able to assert its independence by driving away British intruders, which led to the punitive expedition of 1897 that led to the to Oba Overamin Ogbaisi being exiled to Calabar, where he lived for some years and finally died. What am I saying here? That Nigeria is a country of many nations. I'm an Esako person, a minority from Afema. Afema is different from Ishan and different from Benin, but we are all Edos. I cannot imagine, for example, I being forced to become an Ibibio man, or an Ebira man, or an Idoma man, or a TV man. It is not possible. Or a Bagi man, or a Hausa man, or Yoruba man, or Igbo man. It won't work. So I think Mr. President and the government should tread softly and know that Nigeria is already too heated up for any controversial government policy.
Let me come in here with something topical at the moment, because you spoke about the true practice of federalism, something that you say we see in the United States, but we're quite far from at the moment over here in Nigeria. And I'd also like to speak about the true practice of the separation of powers in that case, and bring in the entire case with Omoyele Sowore that's currently going on, and get your take on that. Get your take on public opinion that the serving government, the current government, seems to believe that they are above the rule of law. I would like to know what you think about that point of view, and I'd like you to just express what you feel as well about the response that we've heard from the government to this issue. We had the Attorney General of the Federation coming out to speak up on the issue yesterday, saying that he would start investigations, or investigations would go underway. And this is one of the 5 demands being put across by over 200 CSOs at the moment that have given a 14-day ultimatum. But some people are of the opinion that that is also just hearsay and just giving us what we want to hear. What is your take on this entire controversy?
It must be pointed out that one of the tenets of democracy is ability and capacity to recognize certain inbuilt safety valves to drive that process called democracy. Government of the people, by the people, and of the people, as declared by Abraham Lincoln in his 1863 Gettysburg Declaration. And it must also be realized that as propounded in 1748 by Baron de Montesquieu, there's what we call a doctrine of separation of powers between the three arms of government, the legislature, executive, and judiciary, which have been constitutionalized in sections 4, 5, and 6 of the 1999 Constitution. To that extent, the legislature makes laws, the executive executes, the judiciary interprets. And what the judiciary has interpreted, the executive must hide, must blow muted trumpet. You cannot play an omnibus policeman having sovereignty over court decisions. And that means you must obey all court orders, because not to do so is to breach your constitutional oath of office. Showore was accused of treasonable felony. That's section 41 of the Criminal Code, and its equivalent in the Penal Code. Thank God he wasn't accused under section 37, which is treason, which carries the death penalty. Treasonable felony carries life imprisonment, forming the intention to overthrow the president. But what was this intention? How was it seen? Was Showore found with a banger?
Well,
or even
thank you very much, Chief Ozekhome. We'll have to bring the conversation to a close at this point, and thank you very much again for coming to the morning show.